Welcome to this day's episode of History of Minecraft. We were taking a look at the Great Pillager and Villager War. To the west side, you have the Pillager army. To the east, you have the villagers. And alas, this war goes on for I don't know how long. As we enter the first day though, when the king had found out, there was colonizers over here, and wanted to chase them out for power. And as you can see, a full-scale invasion was launched. But their entire army, of course, did not listen to this command, as they were busy fighting for the long-lost colony of villagers at Yoshi Island. Reasons for this are unknown, but of course, then again, they wanted the Yoshis. And when I mean the reason behind the Yoshi Island is because there's Yoshis, there is actual Yoshis. No one knows when the Yoshis came to be, but they go extinct far later into the future, when the villager and pillager armies die down. But as you can see, the villagers have fought on this island. As you can see, the craters and everything of over granola since the last battles. And the one pillager ship that had never died. Now, of course, we're gonna go head back south here to the main fight, as we want to know what's going on as we dive deeper into this. But first, let's check up on their navy. The navy seems to be doing fine, as it starts spinning around uncontrollably, not knowing what to do. Now, reasons behind this war are possibly unknown, due to the fact I don't know why, but they did burn the documents for this first war. They did. As the generals got a little bit mad. I don't know why they did that, but it's just the way the historians wrote it. As it was told in the tales that they did burn the documents. However, truth be told, no one knows why. The raid goes for pillage success, as they keep blowing through the forces on the western eastern front. But apparently, all things aren't good as they might seem. The general is now taking some fire, and has decided to fight against them. And this general could die, which would be a very horrible loss for the pillager army. But of course, doesn't care as he fights for his beloved land, and takes more fire for it anyway. And of course, likewise as general, he always fires back, because he knows not to only eviscerate the enemies, but eviscerate their souls as well. I don't know why he says he knows how to do that, but he did. That was Ferdinand. That's not Ferdinand, it's Ferdinand, because it's with a V. Because it was a villager, so yeah. Rumors have it that these guys are old villagers that didn't like the way the villagers ran, so started their own army, and far away from them, not expecting to meet again after so many years. But then again, they did anyway, and somehow this happened. And of course, they do know this technique of parkour and sprint jumping, but that isn't enough to stop them from sadly killing this first general, which would be known as a victory for them and a loss for the pillagers. But they did lose quite a lot of land, so I don't think they should be happy too much. Also for the fact that there's more generals over here to deal with later. Now, I don't know the names of all the soldiers, so we'll just go with like Soldier 2000 or something. I don't even know, because there's like thousands of them that have lived and died in this battlefield. And now the reason they're all back here is to see if they can invade Yoshi Island, as I call it. We go back to the main front field, and you can see explosions, because the cannons are all that is left of this army out here. Also, it's the fact that they decided to raid everything for some reason. The villagers didn't want to lose, And judging by their army size, I don't think they could lose. Mainly because most of the army is cannons and or muskets. And of course all of this would be to protect the ostriches and chickens they have on this island. I don't know why they have them, they just do. It's just a thing that happened. As you can see, this is a victory for the villagers so far. As they kill off the cannons, one shooting at them on their land. Showing these pillagers the Second Amendment right. I don't know why I portrayed them as Americans, but it's just funny to do so. I don't know what's going on anymore in history, but you know what? All this like really weird stuff that's been going on lately in wars. It's just possible betrayals and stuff. So now that the villagers have reclaimed their land, they're going farther west and north to where this army lies. But of course, they have to trust each other first and kill all the natives together. I also do wonder, why did they stop here? But then again, we're gonna have to take a look at why they stopped. I think I'd stop too if I didn't have enough army power to fight so many cannons and swords. But then again, they do, so I don't understand why they didn't just decide to attack full scale and go to war. But I'm guessing it's because villagers are mostly peaceful and will resort to war if they feel threatened. And oh yes, the wonders of nature. I don't know what this thing is, but it looks like an ant-spider combination. So I'll leave it at that. Now we'll be right back after we see what goes on later. Presumably with the villagers and pillagers and stuff. And we'll have to fast forward a few times, I guess. I don't know. To fast forward a lot, anyway. I'll see when we fast forward. I've done it. I fast forwarded. And look at this. I've made it until 1 week after the first fight. Mainly when the villagers decided to go for a full-scale invasion of the pillager army. But not so full-scale, considering this is not the entire mass of their army fighting at once. But rather, just all the guns and everything. So if they lose this invasion, that's technically over for them. Because if the pillagers win this with all their guns still intact, they basically are screwed for like, well, the villagers are basically screwed and will never recover. And of course, lose to the pillagers. But since the documents are weird and we need to know how to send, I'm still going to continue this. And as you watch, you'll see they're aiming towards mainly the generals, so their army will screw up. Well, mainly the pillagers' army will screw up, and will not be able to run correctly. But the pillagers aren't stopping there. They're going to fight until they win. But it looks like they're not winning. As a matter of fact, it looks like they're losing. But I don't think for long they'll be like that. Considering if the guys in the west pick up their slack and decide to fire back, then they'll win. But of course, the guys in the west are too focused on Yoshi Island to be focused on the eastern front of the island, so the pillagers here are left to defend against the villagers themselves. And as you can see, for centuries, I guess, this has happened. But mainly because of the main diplomatic relation, which is power, land, and resources. They want more of that, both of them do. But, since it's a conflict, they want to have it to all themselves only. So, in the end, they ended up fighting. Over and over again. But this doesn't stop them. Mainly because, as you can see, most of the generals are plowing through them now. But this isn't enough to stop them. As you know, the generals, with their unlimited power, can also still die. But then again, not so easily. They can't forget about the cannons. Because even though there's still firepower here, they have cannons that are also just dying. But as you can see, they still have much more firepower up their sleeves because of the fact that the king had found out, the king of the pillagers found out of the west attacking them, so they decided to fire back. But they're still losing. And although this probably isn't meant to be a quick war thing, it still is going to be quick. Mainly because the pillager war lasted a couple, days. This is because there was one main powerhouse surrounding the others, which were in fact most likely the villagers, because of their advanced technology with the cannons, using wood and stone. Meanwhile, they only used wood and bamboo. And also their muskets outmatched the bows and swords. But then again, they're only using far executions. They're not going up against the main field, which are explosives. And as you can see, the Great Phoenix has graced us with her presence, but cannot do anything under the circumstances of the rain. So she's no help at all. As you can see, she's doing her blessing call to bless all those who fight to live a peaceful life after death. And yes, it includes the bad guys, because she has no idea about the morals of each and every person, but knows they've been through a lot, even if it's war. And pillagers, of course, have to do something. I don't know why, but they're traditionally bad, so they have to hurt the Phoenix. But then again, she could just be being hurt because of the war, and being in the middle of it. Which is why we, as the historian, have to help. But since we can't do anything, she has to stay here and outlive her people, live against the odds that people have given for her or anything, or something like that. And as you can see, ranged rockets are ready for fire, in case necessary. You can hear the villagers. As I can possibly see the villagers back here, fighting to keep their land safe against the natives. Perhaps because the natives lived here first, but the villagers didn't care about that. Because they're not as friendly as you may deem. They're really weird too, against what odds they're given. Well, they're humans, so I do expect that. Well, so are these guys, yet they have more morals than the person that are on the other side. And yes, the Phoenix has disappeared after giving us her blessing presents. Of course, all good things can come to an end in a snap. As you can see, the guards have invaded. The guards are mainly the lost soldiers from the colonizing groups long ago. But the pillagers do not take too kindly to villagers due to their rough past, so they blow them in the smithereens. But since the guards can really last long, it takes them a while. And many casualties too, since they're using explosive weapons. Now the war hadn't lasted long, I don't think. But that's mainly because they decided to split up the lands. And of course the villagers do like this idea, as they're predominantly on peace. But all that changes when something drastic happens. And we'll have to time travel for it, because it's going to be months after. Let's time travel this. And to time travel and sum it up, the reason it was a villager victory was because after months of fighting, they've taken this island over. But the pillagers didn't give up as easy. As you can see, there's pretty much fighting all around us. And this is when the war reached its peak. But of course, that peak wouldn't last long, as every pillager from this past Imperial army would soon die. And the world would never be the same again. And forever shall remain as the bloodiest war in history. Would be Pillager and Villager War 1. Or would it? As we come back for episode 2 for Pillager Villager War, the second Pillager and Villager War. And you'll see, the villagers and pillagers would soon not be alone, as many things would oppose them soon enough. But that is the history of Minecraft. Episode 1 is now over.